I'll start. So this week, so we had to add a checkbox to every item in the list. And when you check or uncheck an item, so when you check it, we should save a time when the item was checked and save it to database. And obviously, it was we had to add the option to uncheck the item. So if it's, for instance, if it was checked by mistake, so and when the user unchecks the item, the date is saved as a null. And so I'm showing, I'm showing, for instance, like apple pie. So if I check it here, so the date is saved as in milliseconds, and if I check it, so it's saved again as null. Also, we did some refactoring. So now every item is saved under normalized name. So for instance, like you can see milk, something like saved as just as a milk. So it gave us so easy access to item ID. So we don't need to check twice, go through the list. Yeah, I think that's it. So now, Shelly, you can go ahead.
You have to stop first. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Zoom's yelling at me. Okay. So the first thing that we did was we did some refactoring in add item so that we could grab onto that list item name more easily. So the remove punctuation, we simplified it a little bit and made it one function, so you don't have to repeat it, and then we can call on remove punctuation. So it's still the same setup as before. I think the regex might be a little simplified, but we used that and called it remove punctuation. Then this is all from before. Well, we'll talk about item normalized when we get down to that. So what we do now, sorry, I haven't looked at this in a couple of days, is, there we go. So we can go in and call on, I am so sorry, I'm not seeing anything the way I was just looking at it. Do I have an older version of our thing?
No, I don't think so. Go to inside use effect.
Hang on a second. I was just looking at it on GitHub and I'm not seeing. Okay, so is duplicate found? Okay, so okay, got it. Sorry. We're going to call our duplicate check using the item name normalized, because that's how we've saved everything now in the database. If it is found, then we'll say that it already exists. If not, we'll add it to the list. So we simplified that completely. Sorry. Let's see. Okay, now what are we doing for our check mark? And I'm going to do the same exact thing. I don't know why this looks so different to me. Is this another one of those troubleshooting on the flies? Let's see. That's all the old stuff. Okay, so we have our handle checkbox change here. When it gets clicked the first time, date now assigns a date purchased. That's saved to the database. So we have a purchase date set to null originally. As soon as it's clicked, it then gives it that date. Unclicked goes back to null. And then we did the within 24 hours check because our checkbox is supposed to persist for 24 hours. So what we did is we created the 24-hour gap, which is, anybody else see it? There it is. We found out what it is in milliseconds because we're using the JavaScript time, the milliseconds, 1/6, because that was the easier thing to do. So math.pow is giving us exponential notation for 8.64 times 10 to the second 7 milliseconds, which is 24 hours. So down here, we check it. If the amount of time since date purchased is less than 24 hours, then the check mark persists. If it's greater than, the check mark goes away. The concept behind that was, you'd want to see it for a little while, but after 24 hours, it doesn't matter when you bought it. And that's what our list does. So each time the list is rendered, it'll do the check on the 24 hours. It'll put a checkbox if it's there. If not, you just get your blank checkbox. Did I miss anything, Alina?
We used area label, which is equal to item name. So it should be helpful.
Oh, that's right. And we were going to have a conversation with all of you about what we should call it, because screen readers are going to literally read the entire list. So it will say checkbox because we put a checkbox in, and then it will say the item name. Well, if we want to add the ARIA label, which tells the screen reader or the user what that checkbox does, if we put more than 1 or 2 words in there, the reading of a grocery list of 50 items would take a half an hour. So we sort of have to figure out how we measure our accessibility to just an insane amount of usage time just to read a list, because it would say checkbox, check if purchased today, bananas, for every single item. And that could be not user friendly. So I don't know, as a group, I think we have to talk about how much we want to put into that. Do we just put 1 word and hope that that makes sense? Do we put some kind of heading at the top that gets read once, check the checkbox if purchased today, maybe, and then all it has to say is checkbox bananas, checkbox pears? That's us.
Well, I don't have the answer to the question. I love how you're able to distill that in a question. You know what to search for, like, who to, if you find the right people to ask the question, basically go, well, here's my problem, which I think is amazing. So I don't have the answer. I'm curious what you find out, but like, as a developer, like, this is like awesome, rather than, I don't care. You're like, well, no, this is specifically what we're thinking. And then check with experts in like their advice or something who's done that before. And yeah, I'd love to also learn what's the best way, because you're totally right. Checkbox that will say this is done 24 hours. Eggs. Yeah, you don't want to be doing that. So, but I don't have much experience with readers, so.
They read everything. I tried testing it out and I had to turn it off because it was a lot. Sensory overload. So wouldn't want to do that to anyone.
Yeah, I like how you guys are thinking about this in user experience, and yeah, I would be interested in like finding experts on this topic. I know there's a lot, like even on Twitter, I started following people that are part of the, I think it's the Ally or A11Y project, which deals with accessibility. So might be some avenues for us to explore.
I think one thing to throw out there is, obviously for us, like, we're not used to using like screen readers and things like that, so it can be overwhelming for us. But I know a lot of people that use screen readers daily, like they have a bunch of shortcuts, so they won't necessarily let it read the whole thing out. So I think one aspect of that is if there's like extra information, if we can put that near the end, like if they hear, okay, checkbox, bananas were purchased, for example, then they can be like, okay, I see what this checkbox does. And then, they can use, if they're on a computer, they use a keyboard. If they're on an iPhone device, it's literally just like scrolling down with your finger, and whatever your finger's over, that's the audio that plays. So they will kind of do shortcuts once they hear what the words are starting to say. So there's a lot of like, okay, I understand what a checkbox does after I hear the first one. I'm going to skip down a bunch, and just hear the first word or two and understand what's going on and like jump. So I definitely think it's important to think, okay, how do we make sure that this is predictable? And like, also, we probably don't want to put the item name at the very end of a long string, because then they're going to have to wait for the whole thing to be read rather than being able to kind of skim it, in the same way that we kind of orient visual display so that we can visually skim it. I think one of the important things about accessibility is orienting it for audio skimming for those who have a hard time with visual. So that's my 2 cents. No real answer there, but
No, I'm going to reach out for sure and see what actual experts and users have to say.
And I also love how you were naming your variables. Instead of saying time, you said, well, it's a 24-hour wait. This is a gap. This is, I think you had something like, not a compressed string. I forgot what it was exactly, but as I was looking through the code, it was like pretty clear which variable does what. So like really props on that one. It makes it so much easier to follow. And I totally get what you feel like when you look at a code and go, wait, what the heck is this? Because when I'm reviewing your folks' code, you know, if you give it like a day or two, I'm like, well, wait, I was pretty sure, but this changed. What? Am I on the right branch here? It's just, it happens with a growing code base, right? And this is why your comment and variable namings are huge. I wish GitHub has some kind of a magic to show you, like between these two blocks of time, like almost like a condensed overview of what changed rather than going super detailed. And there probably is some diff tool or something that does it neatly. Okay, yeah, and if there are not any other questions, we can jump to the second team or the other team.
All right.
Okay, so my apologies. I think I might have messed up the merge because in the main branch, there's definitely some extra code in there. We'll get to that eventually. But yeah, so as it stands right now, and I think again, like, you know, we're talking about things that we should talk about as a whole team. Thinking about how this particular component plays in is something that has come up. I feel like, you know, the landing page, you know, we could kind of think about how a user would, you know, be greeted and that sort of thing. But that was kind of our task, was right, like creating a welcoming screen if you don't have any items yet. So right now there's no list. So if we go to just create new list, here we are. So again, this is a cool little color gradient. There's also a new header. So smart shopping list at the top. That's just, again, across the app now. So that's something that we can make look cool. But yeah, this is kind of it. And then the button in the middle here is just like a very obvious way to say, hey, click on me, and then you can start adding your items. So again, definitely some things to clean up in terms of like making sure input fields and all of that, but you know, we can dive more into that as we go. But everything else functionally works the same. And then if we go back to the list, we see it there. So yeah, just kind of like laying the seeds for the design ideas and styling moving forward. And so, yeah, really, let's take a look at, well, let's see. Yeah, so Listview, like this is where it was brought up in the comments that there's like something funky happening with a page like loading or like a page flashing while it's loading. So around line 36, this is kind of the basic logic of that. So again, well, I think we can kind of figure out, you know, just maybe having like a spinner or something like that to show that the app is actually loading. But basically, this is going to show that welcome component, which is the thing with the color gradients, if there are no items in that list. Otherwise, it'll show you all of the everything that you have. So that's just a little bit, and actually that's where the merge is messed up right now in main. So I don't know, we may need to like do some fun like rebase action and that sort of thing pretty soon. So yeah, Lindsay, go ahead and take it away.
Yeah. So the Tailwind classes just go under class name. Like I said, it comes a bit easier to style than doing a CSS file, in my opinion, and like setting up class names for that. If you want the text to be a certain size, you just do text, and there are different sizes that you can add. Margins, this is margins y-axis, so top and bottom. So that's kind of like just how I center and text center. That's how I kind of like centered the title of your shopping list. So that's what's happening there. In the list component, there are a lot of classes here to create that gradient and those colors. I kind of like made a card around that middle button. Was the design I was going for, but obviously all of this can be changed. I just wanted to give you guys something to ponder design wise so that we can have a starting point. And then on the Tailwind config file is how I'm accessing those colors. This is how we would reference the colors. These are imported from Tailwind colors. And then if you wanted to add a custom hex code, you would give it a name as a key value and then the hex color as the value. So I just kind of put an example here. It's not being used in our code, but I wanted an example for people to follow in case they wanted to add other colors. And I also added some fonts. Again, these are Google fonts actually. So I gave it a name. The alternative font is sans serif if the browser doesn't support this Google font. And then how the fonts are imported, like colors, they have to be imported from Google Fonts. So actually in app CSS, I believe, or index CSS. When you do a Google font and you add fonts to like what you want to add to your app, they give you this import link. And so you just like put it in the CSS file and you can add fonts that way to access. So if anyone has any questions about how the config works, like I said, I tried to like create some examples that we're not currently using, but just so people can see kind of how to add more stuff to our Tailwind file.
And can you go back to where you had that the cool gradient and the button, that code? Yeah, let's see. So this is the part where I would, because I love what Tailwind does. This is the part where I recommend is adding, because I'm assuming React would basically strip this out when it publishes the page anyways, is I would add above. Okay, what this does is it creates a gradient that will be orange, and you can like whatever. It's not obvious here for anybody who just like looks at it. Like some people won't know that MD means on Medium do this with. So you can write in comments that, and if this is mobile or this size, then this happens. But like things like text black and all that are obvious. Like of course you don't need to be talking about those, but you just kind of give user a general idea. Okay, this is a container. This one is gradient, and this is like. Just kind of overview what it does. You don't have to like detail all of them. But yeah, when I was like getting into Tailwind CSS, I saw this like, wow, I like what you're doing, but yeah, Tailwind CSS is the way I'm going to.
Follow. Yeah.
And again, amazing that you're able to get into it, getting working so quickly. Like this is like really impressive. It's a great skill. Like you gotta know CSS well to be able to do Tailwind CSS. Like you can't fake it through this. So I think it's like a really amazing thing to be practicing as well.
Lindsay, thanks for putting the sample stuff in there, because that's right where I am of like trying to figure out how I can bring in different colors and things. So that's super helpful. Thanks.
Yeah, I've seen examples of people doing colors inline, but I could not get that to work on my own. So I have some things to learn obviously about Tailwind, but I could get this way to work. And so that's what I'm about, is like finding the way that it works and moving forward.
Can I say real quick, assuming in index HTML, that's where you're linking to the index CSS, right?
It goes to index.js. Yeah, index.js, which is being inserted into the index.html by this document.
Okay, got it. Oh, that's kind of cool way of doing it. Okay. Man, I wish that one worked for me. I think I was using post CSS or something, because I tried this, didn't work. So it's kind of cool to see how I got it to work. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Lindsay, also just the fact that I know that there was that one long line, that I had asked about, because I haven't used Tailwind before, so I didn't know if there's a way, but even just returning it so that you don't have to scroll horizontally, I think it already made it more readable. Cool. Do you guys have any questions? Should we retro it? I don't know what I was doing with that. I was like picturing some retro glasses or something.
Is it retro time already again?
Yeah.
God, those are so hard, because like, why can you do better? I mean, everybody's doing great. Don't ask me that question, geez.
It's okay if we don't have a lot to say in some of them. We don't have to give.
Like, if you want to know what to do better, start doing worse. I don't know. I haven't basically answered those at all. Okay.
Okay, it looks like we already have some in there. So for those of us, including myself, who haven't finished filling out the forms yet, let's do like 5 minutes. And then we'll share the screen. So I guess if people will have already finished, go feel free to go grab a water or something, but I will put 5 minutes on now. So, and go. Okay, we have like 30 seconds left. Is anyone still type? Oh, we have a few minutes left. You're good, Lindsay. You finished. To take the pressure off Lindsay for a second, has anyone watched any good TV shows lately?
The new one that's getting so much buzz, The Woman in the House Across the Street from the Girl in the Window, or whatever it's called, the Kristen Bell one.
Oh,
It's really good.
what is that on? Is it
It's on Netflix, and it's the word parody is not the right word for it, but it's poking some fun at I guess a movie by almost the same name that Netflix released last year that bombed, like The Woman in the House. It was some thriller that was terrible that I never saw, but it also has like, it pays homage to like Alfred Hitchcock's The Rear Window and other thrillers and stuff. It's really good. At first I was like, this is dumb, and 5 minutes in I was totally hooked. It's so good and so weird.
I think you sold me on it because I loved her in Good Place, and I saw the Netflix popped it up.
And that's the reason why I was like, this has got to be better than I think it's going to be, because she's just magic, and it is.
Yeah, she's really good.
Can I add on my watch list now?
Does anyone watch The Righteous Gemstones? It's on HBO. Oh, it's really funny. It's like John Goodman. Oh man, what's his name? Danny McBride. It's basically like a parody of like big church culture, like in the South, but they're just like completely obnoxious, and like it's a really funny show. So that's a good one.
That might be a little too close for home for me.
I mean, I grew up in Texas, and I feel like if you are from the South, you get it. But they do such a good job of like parodying it. You know, it's like, yeah. My wife and I are also huge RuPaul fans. Like, we watch Drag Race every season. They're in season like 14 right now. It's incredible.
Are
It's
you
so
watching
good.
the UK versus the world?
Has it started?
Yes.
What?
Two episodes in, or one episode in? Maybe just one
my
episode.
God.
But yes, it started. It's
Okay,
good.
there we go.
Yep.
Yeah, we definitely will watch it because that looked fun.
I watched this like a few months ago, but did anyone see What We Do in the Shadows?
I love it. I can't wait
Yeah,
for
that's a fun
sequel.
show. Yeah.
Really well done.
Yeah. For anyone that hasn't watched it, it's a like a mockumentary about vampires. And it was hilarious. Like, I mean, it took it after I watched the first one, it just keeps getting better and better. It's kind of like The Office, where you watch it a few times and then you're like in love with them. So anyway.
I really care about characters now.
What did you say?
I really care about the characters now. Like after a few seasons, like I want to see what happens to them. I don't care it's comedy anymore. Like I just want to watch it.
Wait, it's like on Netflix?
3 seasons.
I think it's on Hulu.
Yeah.
Okay.
Looks like it's an FX show streamed on Hulu.
Yeah, it's really good. I didn't think I'd like it as much as I did. Okay, cool. Do you need another second, Lindsay? You're good? Okay. Well, DJ's not there yet, but I will share my screen. Oh, DJ's back. Okay. So yeah, I'll just scroll, and if you guys just want to talk when you see your name, unless you want me to introduce you, I'm happy to do that too, but we can speed it up that way. So Lindsay, I pass to you.
Yes, so obviously I want to thank our mentors. Like, it's incredible, like the time that you give to us. I appreciate it so much. I feel like I'm learning so much. Each of the office hours have been amazing to go to, and I learned different things from you guys. And yeah, I have been like, one thing I wanted to get out of this experience was more confidence in talking about coding, and I definitely gotten that because we'll ask about something with our app or something that's not working. You guys just like jump in to give us ideas and to help us, and I feel like that's helping me so much get a lot of confidence about talking about coding and programming and what we're doing. And yeah, that's that changes my life, so it's kind of crazy. I don't think that you guys get that you're changing my life by just being here and existing, but yeah, anyways, also I wanted to shout out to all my teammates. I've had a great time working with them. Shelly is an amazing collaborator. We bounced ideas off so well when we worked together. And I like seeing you talk about your coding and what projects you're working on and everything that you're doing, just sharing and providing feedback to us. I worked with DJ this week, and we always come up with solutions to problems together. It's never just one of us like trying to figure out what's going on. It's like, okay, I did this, it's not working. Do you have any thoughts? We can immediately go to each other and kind of also bounce those ideas off each other, which is a really good environment to work in, to feel safe and being able to like talk to someone about a problem that you're having. And I also wanted to shout out to Elena because Elena is always giving amazing feedback in our pull requests, helping us figure out what's going on with the code and what we could maybe do better to help our users in the future and kind of like expand the use cases of our app. So I really appreciate that.
Thanks, Lindsay. Yeah, I also want to shout out like everybody, the mentors, again, the time, like Lindsay said, that you're giving us, but also like your sage advice and wisdom. Like it doesn't matter what the issue is. So you're like, oh, try this, or maybe think about it this way. And that's just been really, really great to have. So thank you for that. And then I feel bad that I didn't write out like single comments for everybody. But again, my fellow devs, like I've had a chance to work with everybody now, and everyone's brilliant, right? And different, right? We're not all the same. We approach things differently, but I love being able to work with you all and being able to learn from you all. And so, as we're doing this thing, like it really has been very cool to just see like how quickly we've gelled and like gotten to know each other and how we like to approach things. So, I just thank you for like, letting me be a part of this.
Well, just overall, really, really impressed with how well everyone works together, and also the desire to have really high quality work. So not just to make it work, but how can we improve it? And everybody seems to share that commitment. So that's really cool. Lindsay, really impressed with how you handled a gajillion suggestions this week with that, or I guess last week with the tricky issue. And you and Shelly had both like worked a lot on that issue too, but just the fact that you were able to take in, I think at the end of the week, and get that figured out in a short period of time was really cool. Shelly, really appreciated how vulnerable you were this week, like chatting with us about your experience, and then also just like jumping back into the coding, and you're always like very forward thinking with your work. And Elena, you have like really thorough PR code reviews, and you I guess it's probably you and your pair when you're making the PR, but those are really thorough as well. But yeah, you just give really great, thoughtful comments that are, I think, really valuable. And DJ, you also give great reviews, and you're very forward thinking, and also a way to stay very involved while you started your new job this week. So that's really cool that you were able to do both, and I'm sure everyone's excited to hear more about your job. And finally, Eddie and Rudy, you've been really great to work with so far. I just love the energy both of you bring. Like, you're so supportive and you have really unique perspectives. So it's been really great to work with you guys. And Lindsay and or Eddie, if you already, I'm not sure if you covered that part.
Yeah, that was just kind of like a general shout out to everyone. I realized like we are also different, and there's like a lot of things I wanted to more specifically cover. So yeah. But yeah, I really appreciate it. Pair programming, it's been great. Like I just could say so many amazing things about this experience, and I'll write a blog at some point and do that.
Awesome. So yeah, one thing I feel like I keep seeing throughout the team is just excitement, right? That all of you are excited to be here. You're excited to be working on this stuff, and you're not necessarily just trying to like do the bare minimum to like check the box, in particular, like Elena and Shelly, I noticed you all really focused on like, okay, we're going to complete what's working, and like, how can we make how can we compress these functions? How can we make this reusable and better maintainable for the long run, which is, really above and beyond what you have to do. And I love just hearing your all's thoughts on that, seeing your all's focus on that. And Lindsay and DJ, right? Like thinking through, hey, how can we add styling, right? You could have done some bare minimum and just thrown some CSS in there, but you said, you know what, we're gonna pull in. My brain just died and I can't remember the CSS framework, but yeah, we're gonna pull Tailwind. That's it. So we're gonna pull in Tailwind, and we're gonna use that so we can make some fun gradients and stuff, and make it easier to make it look nicer. And I just love how you all are so excited that that's bleeding into how you're approaching the tasks. I think that really stands out. So thank you all for your excitement, and yeah.
Well, yeah, first and foremost, DJ, congratulations. But also that you are still killing it with us. And except for, oh no, you were your first lunch break, you were still on Slack with us and helping out. So yeah, overachiever, and I love it. I am so grateful for our mentors. When I had the bad news happen with the job, I'm like, first I told my wife, because duh. And then I was like, I need them to talk to me. And you guys were the ones that I went to. And after just 3 weeks, knowing that, how generous and genuine you are with your time and your advice and knowledge, it's amazing. So huge shout out for that this week, because that helped me get through it in an instant. I mean, I had like 15 minutes of just feeling like crap. And I'm like, this is okay. I shot for the stars, man. So I didn't make it, but I'm still proud of myself. So thank you for being there. And then to my team, you guys are already my team. I love it. I love how we work together. I love how, generous we are. There's never been any kind of, I'm going to take charge and barrel on with this. We're so good at talking about what we're doing and we're thinking. And I just love that practice, and I love how we work together. And it's kind of funny because we really did sort of hit the ground running. And so I'm thrilled. I feel so lucky for my team.
Yeah, I had the pleasure to work with DJ and Shelly. So again, it was a very nice experience. DJ, I can feel like you know a lot. I can learn from you, and it's really nice that I can work with you, and learn from you. And Shelly, like to work with you is such a pleasure. We had so much fun. It goes very smooth. For me, it's like. And we can have a conversation. It's so natural. I really appreciate this, because for me it's a little bit more hard because of language barrier. But we had a lot of fun. And our mentors, I'm really grateful for that you are here for us for these comments. And Rudy, this a lot of text you paste. I always enjoy. I learn a lot reading, and try to understand and learn and Google it. Yeah, very appreciated. And idea, our office hours that you help us with our function, and then shared some, I asked you about job search and something yeah, and you shared your experience. It was very helpful. Thank you.
Okay, so I guess that's me now. I'll copy and paste what everybody else said. I'm really impressed about the collaboration part, because I think ultimately what I would like everyone to pick up from here is that we're all just people. If you have a person that has 5 billion years of experience, well, you're gonna know something that person's got not. You're gonna have perspective that person doesn't. So the whole thing is just to free up that, hey, yeah, I can collaborate, and I'm just so humbled how good everybody is. You're coming out to on Slack and in here, and I'm learning as much as I'm showing, hopefully. And just as a developer, because it's such a good environment, I almost sometimes have to stop myself from being too chatty about diving into the code. It's no, let them practice collaboration between the teammates, because it was just so inspiring, like the things you're learning, and like again, telling CSS and geeking out, like, ooh, that's how you made it work. I couldn't do it that way. I did it the other way. And it's just on a personal level as a developer, like this is awesome environment. So I'm just trying too hard not to geek out to the extreme, because it's just fun working with everybody. And yeah, that's my answer.
Yeah. Well, now let's move on to what went well, which is kind of similar to appreciations, but maybe more like team workflow. DJ, do you want to start?
Yeah, so Tuesday we were supposed to meet. I forgot to eat that day, and it was like 5 p.m. And Lindsay kind of read my mind. She was like, let's just talk for a little bit, and we're going to try this asynchronous work, which actually worked really well. So I really appreciate her for being open and willing to do that. Well, all that to say is, like, again, to echo everyone, the pair programming has been incredible. You know, it's just been a great way to approach our problems. So yeah, I mean, I feel like we're, taking on challenges. We're being really flexible and understanding with each other this week. So I think that's really, really great.
Awesome. Yeah, I think one of the big things that sticks out to me that's working really well is collaboration, right? Whether it's you all reaching out on Slack as soon as something's going wrong, it's utilizing office hours to work through things that you're still having challenges with. I think just the way that you all are utilizing all of those means is going really well. It, kind of to Rudy's point, like it really just reminds me of how stuff happens in a normal daily dev job. So you all are getting great experience, and I think that's working really well.
Yeah, honestly, I don't remember what's the phrase. Like, I'm not just blowing smoke up, whatever that phrase is. I just, it seems like everything's going really well with this team, with like openness to learn, availability, and being like just very open and genuine and kind and thoughtful, and really, like, aside from you guys being great people, you're really good coders too. So that's been really cool to see.
Yeah, so again, office hours, I found it is very helpful. Like we're able to discuss, like, not related to the project questions, like how to improve your code. So it's really helpful. And of course, pair programming went very well. Like, it was awesome experience.
Yeah, not to just repeat it, I think office hours are scheduled perfectly. I know it was just the luck of the draw that we got Wednesday night, but it's kind of perfect because since we're a front-loaded team, we've all dug in deep by Wednesday, so it's the perfect time to meet and get help if needed, or just discuss stuff or chat. So yeah, I love it.
I got in addition to what everybody else says, I got two things. And I know the next column is going to say, well, we should be talking more often in Slack and sooner. And that is all true. But if you just compare to, let's say, stereotypical team of the past or somewhere else, where people just, everybody goes to their own corner and they just do their own thing. They don't want to ask for help, thinking they're going to look stupid or something. Like, the collaboration here is amazing. Like, look how many of you are coming to Slack and saying, I'm thinking about this, or this isn't working. Like, you're keeping your teammates in the loop, and that's amazing. Like, so just keep that going in the future. And I love is how you're all dealing with, I call them little snacks. Like, let's say your code is few pushes ahead and it's not merging correctly, or I don't know, maybe you're doing the demo and you forgot where you were. Like, how do you deal with these, like, quote unquote human moments is just amazing. You're like, well, let's just keep going. Let's just go try that, because, like, that's life. These are unavoidable. And I love how you're handling that. It's like really amazing. I was always assuming that in the collab, we would start with people who we would need to maybe encourage more, just tell them, yeah, it's okay, but you're already there. Like, you're showing me it's okay. It's like, wow, this is a great group. So that's a skill that through all of your professional life is going to make you amazing. It's going to make people go, oh, I want to work with that person, because you're showing that even if something doesn't work, you'll make it work. And you're also very graceful, have a good humor about it. So, like, that's amazing. Like, shooting for the stars, basically. Okay, yeah, that's my card.
Okay. What can be improved?
Yeah, I was kind of piggybacking on your comment about communication, Lauren. And I mean, again, this is totally on me, I think, for like not following up on this merge and seeing that like there is actually something broken in the code right now. But yeah, just kind of figuring out like post Wednesday, like those 3 or 4 days, like, you know, what kind of check-ins or maybe, you know, some sort of way to know, like, you know, we're merging first, you go first, that sort of thing, like that might be helpful.
Yeah, and like Eddie said, I mean, this is just because I was trying to think of something, but I think also for PRs, because you guys got it done so early, that maybe reviews, if they can happen, I've noticed even for myself, I'm reviewing later than I would like to. So if I guess what I was going to say is you don't have to be shy about pinging people if it's ready. And I think probably everyone here is not wanting to bother anyone else, but it's okay to ping when it's someone else's turn and hope, you know, maybe they can say, oh, I can't get to this day today, I'll do it tomorrow or something like that. But yeah, don't be shy about nudging, just because then you have enough time to fix things.
My thing, I think, is process as a whole rather than something that individual teammates could be doing, which then I think is probably an awesome Collab lab to figure out, or heck with any project really. It's you know, it's like PR is moving through, but then sometimes I'm just wondering, well, is something taking longer than it should be, or is this too early? Should I be chiming in with comments now? Should I hold off for a bit? I just kind of wish there's some kind of a magical progress bar that I can say, now we're having coding phase. Now we're in the teammates are collaborating phase. Now it's the phase where we're all kind of reviewing something. Because I always kind of have this feel like as peers are coming through, I was just like, oh, I don't want to drop the ball and miss anything here. But there's just a challenge basically to have in, you know, all projects and all that. Ooh, I want that.
Like that?
Yes, you get me. You get me. This is the app we should be building.
Oh, you
Okay.
had a pizza coming and you're just checking in on it.
You totally get me, because you know, there's some of this wonderful collaboration that, you know, all of you can have given a little bit more time, right? Because we don't want to be jumping in too soon, so you can come up with your little innovative solutions, so you can like learn from each other and all that. And I'm always like, am I too late? Am I too early? Yeah, I need a Pizza Hut tracker.
Awesome. I think that's what Rudy, I'll pass it off to you for issues, but is there anyone here that has to leave right at 8? Okay, just want to be in case anyone does. That's fine.
Oh, it's issues me and not Eddie? Did I mess that
Oh,
up?
no, you're good. You're good.
Oops, sorry, Eddie.
Do I look like an issues person or more like a demo person?
My head is not together tonight.
I'm so funny.
Alrighty, let me share my screen. This is the one. All right, so we've got 2 issues this week. We've got issue 9 and issue 10. So issue 9 is really about filtering the shopping list so that if you're like, oh, wait, do I need to buy bananas, or did I add bananas to the list? And you've got 20 or 30 items on the list, you can quickly figure out the status of your bananas and realize that you bought them yesterday and it's still checked and you don't need to go buy bananas. So yeah, acceptance criteria display a text field at the top of the shopping list. And then as they type in the shopping list, they should be narrowing the list based on the text that you entered. When the field has text in it, you should be able to clear it, which, that's pretty natural. I imagine most of you have used that in an app. And then the filter text should match any part of the name. So imagine it has kind of a wild card at the beginning and the end, right? It's that text appears anywhere in the string, then wait, it should not only match. Oh yeah, not only match from the start of the string. Okay. The negation there was like, wait, I just said the wrong thing. Okay. So it's got a wireframe here that is good to take a look at. And you can see the filter right up here at the top. And then, yeah, they've got another interesting thing that you can check out there about accessibility in screen readers. So that is number 9. Number 10 is the one around estimating purchase dates. So the idea is that when the purchase is recorded, the estimated number of days should be calculated and then recorded in the database so that it can kind of prompt the person about when it might be purchased next. The good news is you don't have to know machine learning. They've already got a handy calculate estimate function here. And so here's the key thing you need to think about this is what I've got UI from the Zoom in the way of my browser. All right, there we go. You've got this function here, and this function is what you're going to be using, and it needs some specific information. It needs the previous estimate. So what was the last estimated purchase interval, right? It needs the days since the last transaction. So now it doesn't just matter if something was 24 hours ago. We actually need to know how many days it's been. Although that 24 hours time thing is probably going to be somewhat handy because that's a day, right? And then total purchases. So how many times have you purchased this item? And then they've got a bunch of fun logic here that you can read this week if you're curious about how they're doing it. But the great thing about functions is all you need to do is know that you're tracking those 3 pieces of information as input, and it'll give you a number back out. So, and this is using TypeScript. That's why it has like the types in here. But yeah, so I think the big thing this week is figuring out how do you track this information, right? You'll probably need to update the database. That way you have the information available to feed to this function. So that's really the big thing there. So yeah, it has a call out. You might need to adjust the schema a bit. So it's a good time to kind of revisit that and figure out how you want that to be set up to enable that. Yeah, that's
Hey, I had
the
a quick question about
yeah.
this. So for this issue, like there's nothing in the UI that is getting adjusted. Like it's just the database and like, I guess the data that we're collecting.
That's a great question. It does feel like there should be a UI component, but it doesn't call that out. Lauren, do you know?
I don't, if so, this corresponds to the colors on the checkboxes. I don't know if that's in another.
Yeah, the colors come up later because we were looking into that too.
Okay, so yeah, I think this is just the logic behind, because you'll have, right now it's storing one date and now it's going to ask for more history, I think.
Awesome. So yeah, I guess first of all, do we know who the groups are for this time?
Shelly and I? Yeah.
Yeah.
Shelly, do you I'm open to whatever. So
I think 10 looks fun.
cool.
Is that okay with you guys?
So then Lindsay
Okay.
and Elena, you'd be on 9, focused on filtering. Awesome. Any other questions on 9 or 10 now that you all kind of know what you'll be working on?
Before we like create branches, and I don't know if anyone's done a git pull since we merged, but how should we fix this issue? It's in list item. And I think it's a pretty easy fix, but I don't know if we should like create a branch and then merge that in, or just fix it in main.
I can't get main anymore.
I think ideally try to get everything in one tidy point before creating more branches. Otherwise, you're creating even more.
That's yeah. So like I said, I don't know. I mean, I can share my screen to show you what it looks like, if that's helpful.
Yeah, why don't you?
Let's check it out.
Okay. Yeah, and it basically has to do with the logic around like the loading like state that we're doing now. So basically we just need to move all of that into this up here, which again, I don't think will take too much, but it just needs to be refactored a little bit. But that, I'm pretty sure that's why we weren't seeing the Tailwind styles like on the live site, I think. Actually, I'm sure because the welcome component down here, that's unreachable code. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's screaming the yellow underline at you. It's like, geez.
Yeah, it'll still build, but you know, it does have the warning in the console. But yeah.
What if we just move the input to the bottom code and then just deleted that top code? Or like,
Oh, you mean
whatever
like
was.
just get rid of this?
Yeah, but you take their input, their checkbox input, and add it into the lists on the that are being aren't the lists being mapped on the bottom part too? Yeah, there, like we're doing items on map.
Yes.
So like, what if we just move the inputs to there?
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
the bottom part was working, that logic was working before this top part. Was that like the if loading works? I think it's just
Yeah.
duplicate returns. It's having a conflict.
Yeah, well, yeah, I can't read any of this code down here, I think. So, I mean, I can do this later. I mean, I don't want to hold folks up, but
create like an asynchronous thread on Slack, and then just whoever needs to do the next action, you can just ping that person or all of us.
Yeah, I think that sounds good. I mean, DJ, do you have any concerns about like being able to do it, say, in like next 24-ish hours? If so,
I can do it. I can do it
Okay.
now, like as soon as we're off,
Okay.
and then like we can. I'll like we can. Lindsay and I can like let you know on Slack when it's done, and then y'all can create the branches after that.
Yeah, sounds good. Just wanted to make sure you didn't feel like pressure, like somehow it's on your plate, but you didn't have time for
No.
it. You can have someone else do it. But okay, cool. Yeah, I think just creating a thread and just letting everyone know where the status is, and then like you said, we can make sure in the thread that everyone has gotten their branches created okay. And if anyone has any issues creating their branches, I imagine you'll have that down by now. But we can troubleshoot that through the thread in Slack.
Actually, I wanted to say, like, when I was testing application today, I had like a memory leak in my console. So I don't know, do we need to care? So it was saying, so I didn't make a screenshot, but it was like we have a memory leak and something like red error. I don't know where.
I think I saw that too.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's like one of the use effect functions. Like we might just need like a cleanup. Like,
yeah, maybe it's something like this subscription. It was saying something to clean subscriptions. Yeah, so probably it's something we need to fix too.
If as you're doing this, if you come up with little like bug things you want to refactor or bugs, feel free to make more tickets too. You can use that board and add extra things if you want.
Yeah, and that's always good. Like, even if it's something that you don't end up fixing over the course of the next, what is end of week 4? So I think we've got 4 more weeks, halfway point. But even if it's something that you don't know, like, well, will we get to this or not? It's always helpful to like create a ticket, and it's a good practice, like to get used to. Like I create all sorts of tickets at, in my day job, and sometimes we would never touch it, right? But we create a ticket because we see the thing, we know it's an issue. We want to kind of document like, hey, here's the way that I replicated this issue, or here's the details I know about it. That way I don't have to rely on my own memory, because that's not something that I want me or anyone else to do, is rely on my own memory. But then you've got it documented, and you can decide later, is this something we need to address, or is this something we don't need to address based on like how much is going on? And if someone has some free time one week, they can be like, hey, I'll tackle it, or there's no time and it's not a big deal.
I think that sounds good. I think DJ and I will meet to work on that merge, and then we'll like let you guys know when it's ready to be pulled from main, and we can set up the branches for this week.
Yay, sounds great. Let us know